Hello, everybody. This is Thomas from Double Edge Double Bill. Doing this little intro here for what I should explain. So we were going to put out our Forrest Whitaker episode this week, where we were going to do Last King of Scotland and Repo Men, and we're still planning on doing that episode, but it's going to be delayed to next week. Adam basically had some stuff, some personal issues. He's fine, don't worry about it, but he kind of had sort of a hectic and exhausting week that had some sort of challenges for him, and we ended up not being able to record that Forrest Whitaker episode. So instead of just having nothing on the feed for you for this week, we're going to release another thing from behind the paywall on our Patreon. If you're unaware, over on patreon.com/DEDBpod, every month we do both polls where you guys get to vote for certain movies that we cover, topics like Forrest Whitaker. But also you get to listen to at least one bonus podcast a month. Sometimes we do more, depending on our schedules and stuff. But we always like to have at least one bonus thing. And we're going to put out, this was from September of 2021, this bonus episode, which is an audio commentary for Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight. We figure, it was a pretty accessible movie out there for everybody. Pretty long one. It's 2.5 hour long movie, so the commentary is about as long. And, this is basically a thing where we'll have in the show notes time code for when the movie actually starts, so you can watch Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight while listening to our commentary back and forth, which is pretty interesting given one of us is a fan of The Dark Knight and one of us isn't, as you'll hear in the commentary itself, so you'll get to be able to watch along with us and hear our thoughts. And also, Christopher Nolan's got a new movie coming out this summer with Oppenheimer, so why not have a bit of Nolan-y sort of goodness here at right before the summer starts for that. So this will be the bonus episode for this week. Like I said, next week we'll be doing Forrest Whitaker, and then going from there with the schedule. We apologize for the lack of a regular episode, but hopefully this bonus episode gets you interested to join up with the Patreon if you haven't, because for that $1 you get those bonus podcasts, and we have plenty of other commentary tracks we've done, like we've done The Shining, Star Wars The Last Jedi, and Tron Legacy, Westworld, Roadhouse with Shaquille Lambert, one of our favorite guests, Punisher Warzone, that was the one we did together in person, Waterworld, the Friday the 13th remake, a bunch of other fun ones there, and also we have other bonus podcasts we put out, like we go in a rotation, so sometimes we'll have media discussions or our show Television where we talk about recent TV shows, and also, of course, we do top 10 lists, and also around the time, we plan on putting out before April ends another top 10 list, which will be about our top 10 so bad they're good movies. We love talking about those. That also, the scheduling delayed that recording a bit, so hopefully we'll get it out before the end of April. That's the plan anyway. Just depends on, Adam, his schedule and whatnot, but, we'll have that up very soon, if nonetheless. The Patreon really helps out. We appreciate anybody who is a patron, and if you have any of just the spare cash for just the $1 a month, it really helps out. For example, I'm going to be paying our hosting fees soon for the year with the help of that Patreon money, and any of the other stuff will go to helping improve the show, better equipment, advancing some ideas we might have brewing up in the future. It all really helps out. We really appreciate every dollar. But anyway, on with the audio commentary, like I said, for Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight, that we put out back in September of 2021. Hello, Edgelord patrons. Welcome to the Double Edge Double Bill bonus podcast we do every single month. We along with, some of the ones we do on the ear reg, like the On the Edge of Relevance. We always guarantee at least one particular bonus podcast that we go through rotations on. And this particular rotation for this month led us to an audio commentary. And Adam, in case they didn't read the title of this particular thing, what are we doing an audio commentary on?
The 2.5 hour long Dark Knight.
Yes, The Dark Knight, as opposed to The Dark Knight Rises, or those Dark Knight Returns animated movies. We were doing Christopher Nolan's 2008 film, The Dark Knight, which I know there's such a dearth of two white guys talking about The Dark Knight on the internet. I can't believe you guys are breaking so much ground with this. But I think there's a fair reason, because with these commentaries, we'd like to kind of do ones where, you either like the movie a bit more than I do, or vice versa, and I think this is definitely a vice versa case. If you're maybe a longtime fan of the show, you might have heard us rant about The Dark Knight Rises with patron and friend Scott Johnson. And where the subject of The Dark Knight was broached. I'm a big fan of it. Still, even though when this came out in 2008, I was such a super fan. I've said this before. Like, one of the most distinctive movie theater memories I have is watching The Dark Knight on the Monday after it came out, because we were in Orlando with my family and I couldn't see it on like the Friday, so I was like desperate to see it. And I saw it on that Monday in an empty theater, and I loved it so much that I stayed through the credits and the previews for the next showing and just watched the whole movie again, like twice in a row, which I have never done before or since, even at home with a fucking movie.
Right,
Right.
right.
And Adam, I get like mixed things from you sometimes, or sometimes you're like, oh, this movie's overrated, or sometimes you flat out hate it. Where do you
Ah,
currently stand, at least, on Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight?
about right in between that, baby. I saw this opening night at midnight. Because I was super fucking stoked for it because I really, really like Batman Begins,
Mm-hmm.
and plus the sort of not the controversy, but the tragedy around Heath Ledger and his betrayal, and it's the Joker again and all that stuff. So I was super, super excited, and I walked out of the theater, kind of muttering loudly, "What the fuck?" It's I was kind of bored, pretty much not the whole way through, but for a majority of it, and I don't. Thank God we're talking, because I would probably be bored the whole way through again.
Well, it's very interesting. We'll get into a lot of that here as we start doing our little discussion here. Before we'll have a sync point for all of you, so hopefully, if you're listening, watching a movie along with us, queue up your copy whenever you can. But we'll indicate when we start the movie. But a couple things when we usually record these commentaries. One, they aren't really that edited, so keep in mind that you might hear some things that we polish out of regular recordings, like some noise in the background, or especially
Mm-hmm.
with this long 2.5 hour long movie, you might hear Adam's favorite sound, which is my water canteen.
Yep, yep. Or you're going to hear Adam go, "Bathroom break," because that'll probably happen too.
Over 2.5 hours, I might also do that. There's
Yeah.
who knows, but we got our copies here started. We're about to start the film here, so everybody get whatever version you
Oh,
have ready. If you're on the HBO Max, or Adam is doing it on his Vudu, which is where he has
mhm.
a huge collection of films, and I am doing it on a good old fashioned physical Blu-ray copy.
I just want to point out, if you are watching from home, both of our versions, I don't know if all versions start up like this, but at least ours do start up right with the Warner Brothers logo. There's not like an FBI warning or
Yes,
anything like that for it.
very good point to distinguish.
So
Yes.
yeah, don't worry about it, Thomas. I'll pick up the legwork.
I'm sure, for sure. But let's go ahead then and get the start, everybody, on a countdown here, and I'll do the countdown and then say a Dark Knight related phrase, and then after I'm done with that phrase, that's when we start. Everybody clear? Great. So on 3, 2, 1, and here we go.
All right. Well, I'm gonna take a nap. Um,
Honestly, I could probably
wake
pull
me
up the
up.
time
Wake, yeah,
myself
yeah.
just for 2.5 fucking hours.
Wake me up when Eric Roberts shows up.
So I guess it's important you mentioned this. That, like this, there was so much interesting hype around this particular movie coming out, and especially when it came
Oh
out
yeah.
in 2008 was like a huge crucial point, as we talked about in 2008 episode. Between this and Iron Man, I think really shaped so much of like what would happen later with especially these big blockbuster movies. I think, to be credited, like it's those two movies succeeding, and then also the both disappointments of Speed Racer and Hellboy 2 in terms of the box office failing. I think that's what creates like a giant shift in like major studio filmmaking.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, especially, just with sort of the even if you want to get into sort of the camera work and IMAX work and all that stuff
Like
that
this
Christopher
shot right
Nolan's done.
here is immediately an IMAX shot.
Yeah, yeah. No, definitely. And all these guys have the voices of 40s gangsters for some reason. But whatever.
Because it's fucking cool. That's always my argument with that. I think that's the thing. Honestly, like what I like about these movies, even though like toxic fans kind of like put on the whole thing of like, oh, they're like super gritty, serious. It's not like Batman and Robin. I like that no one knows that these are also comic book movies and can mix in kind of silly details, and like that they have 40s gangster voices. I love that, honestly. Just like, what? Why do they call him the Joker? I think that's really fun. It adds a bit of levity.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but I don't know that it really adds levity because it's the first thing you're hearing. Like it's right off the bat. It's so to me out of place with everything else in the movie. Like this is the one scene where they really give you, this sort of, if you want to call it silliness and campiness for the most part in the entire 2.5 hours.
I think there's still like a lot of other stuff, especially like other side characters have a similar gruff attitude, like people in particular, like the police station stuff like that. We'll get into that as we go along. Even like you mentioned, Eric Roberts is very much that. Like
but that's Eric Roberts in everything, though. Hold on, though. That's Eric Roberts.
That's fair. But I think that's intentional casting for that reason. But I really love this sequence. Just the whole factor of like really establishing a lot of like the mystery behind the Joker and how so much was just like, oh, any of these thugs even are just like immediately going to kill each other. I think it's like such a fun way of already getting you into the weird chaos of the movie from here.
And doesn't hurt that there's William Fichtner.
Fuck
that doesn't
yeah.
hurt.
Fuck yeah, there is.
He's awesome.
Which
this is such a crazy character to me. Like I love it. He's the manager of this bank that's a mafia sort of run bank or whatever, and he just comes out with a shotgun blazing, trying to take these fuckers out.
Yeah.
It's great. I mean, it's great. It's just that's a hell of a bank manager.
I mean, it's one of many tip-offs to Nolan being a huge Michael Mann fan, which is definitely the case based on this movie.
Yeah, baby. Watch Heat. And then watch this. And you're like, oh, there's a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah. I got this Blu-ray box set recently for the Dark Knight trilogy, and there's an extra where they have a bunch of filmmakers interviewed about the Dark Knight trilogy. Michael Mann is one of them.
Oh, really?
Yes.
My favorite director working today.
Hint, patrons, there'll probably be a Michael Mann episode at some point in the near future.
Yeah. I mean, on it, potentially of all time. But anyways, to get to Nolan, well, hold on. We got to wait now because the big reveal is coming soon.
Very soon, yes.
Okay, well, we got a minute because we got these guys. What are you doing in here? What is your favorite sort of Nolan film?
We're watching it right now.
Oh, this is your favorite Christopher Nolan
100%,
film?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, all right. Okay, all right.
Though I will say stuff like The Prestige and Memento are very close.
Yeah, those are both top tier for me. But I know you don't really care for it, but I really like Inception.
I do like Inception. I don't know where this rumor got started that I don't like Inception. I like it quite a bit.
I think it was from you. I want to say you said it before, that you weren't crazy about it.
No, I have not said as much. Like, the Nolan movies I don't like are more like A Dark Knight Rises or Tenet as of recent.
Tenet's pretty garbage.
I wouldn't say quite garbage. I think it's just a very muddled movie, kind of like Rises. But anyway. We are about to get this big reveal of Mr. Ledger, which apparently this was the big thing. Like, this was the only part of the movie they ever screened while Ledger was alive. Because they put this section up during the like IMAX previews, which I never saw. I believe it was for I Am Legend, if I'm correct.
Yes, I believe so.
I love even the way that Fitchner is like posed down there, just like, oh, people used to believe in things. Respect. Also interesting. This mask design was worn by Cesar Romero on the show, the old Batman show.
Yep.
Yes. Hey, there he is. Now, Adam, I think we should get this out of the way right now, that, like, whatever negative things you have to say, I'm sure none of them are related to this performance and this character necessarily.
I mean, yeah, no, none at all.
Yeah.
I mean, none at all. It's one of the greatest, not just comic book villain performances, but villain performances of the last, 50 years, I'd say. It's absolutely a phenomenal performance. He deserved every sort of accolade he was given critically and everything like that. It's just, I'm so tired of seeing this fucking image and especially on social media with a random quote that is not attributed to the Joker or Heath Ledger, placed it up,
Or
passed it over.
especially
It's
like
like it's so
in
stupid.
the time between this and Rises, there were a lot of like weird people with Joker avatars that were not necessarily.
Oh yeah, there's still a lot.
Yeah,
There's still a lot
there's
of them.
still a lot. I would argue it was more prevalent between like 2008 and
Oh sure.
2012. It was like a oh, Anthony Michael Hall's here.
Yeah.
Okay, like these guys, particularly this guy in the station, is very much like the investigation's ongoing. It's like I think that kind of adds like that gruffness. Oh, there he is, Mr. Gordon,
Yeah.
Commissioner Gordon, Gary Oldman doing a great job with his Ned Flanders cosplay.
Yes.
Hi diddly ho, Gotharinos.
Hmm. Covering Gotham and this poor diddly oison. This I also was not a fan of.
Oh, the Chechen.
No, not the Chechen, but the fact that they this is the way they sort of decide to wrap up the Scarecrow thing.
I
Um,
yeah.
it's just it's not. It's completely different from the character they already sort of put forth in the first one, where now he's a drug dealer and shit like that. Like that's not the Scarecrow.
I mean, I don't know. Based on the guy who helped infect Gotham with like nightmare gas in the last movie, I don't think he's got his doctorate anymore. I don't think he's practicing medicine. So it's like, what are
No,
you
he's
gonna
definitely
do?
not practicing. He's definitely not practicing medicine, but I don't know.
Also, this Chechen guy is another thing for like the silliness that's throughout this movie. My dogs are hungry. He's very fun.
I did like this idea though.
Oh,
There's a bunch of wannabes dressed in like him. Very
yes.
cool.
And I like the costumes are just perfectly shitty looking. To where it looks
Hmm.
like they would actually be tactile, but also they're fucking silly looking. I also think a big thing where I would say this improves on it, Batman Begins, that we'll see throughout this, it's a much better, like, edited and shot action sequence wise. That's my biggest problem with Batman Begins upon revisiting that recently as well. It's just I think the
Hmm.
action is so choppy and poorly put together compared to this.
Especially any of the hand-to-hand stuff.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Yeah, you can't even see what's going on. But I did read that that was a decision that was made so where it would look, you're almost watching it from one of the criminal's point of views or something like that. You wouldn't be able to see how quick he moves or what he's doing. And I get the idea of it, but
Mhm.
you want to see it. Like, here we go.
And here he is. Here's Batman himself in the older version of the suit from Batman Begins. I like that they changed the sort of big, bulky neck thing that's been prevalent even before
Yeah,
Batman Begins. I like the redesign.
yeah, me too. Yeah, I do too. At first, I wasn't sure about it, just because I'm like, it just looks like RoboCop armor. Um, but I do like the redesign a lot,
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
And also, even with like the Scarecrow thing, I like that the Scarecrow is sort of like a weird fringe villain that keeps popping up in these movies. He's just like it adds a bit of color that just like, oh, Scarecrow's still running around doing whatever he can at this point now that he does not have his doctorate anymore.
Yeah, yeah. Well, good for you.
I'm anticipating a
I don't
lot
know.
of that response to my fucking meme saying something like, well, good enough. Not my diagnosis. I'm not wearing hockey pads.
Speaking of someone who's constantly popping up in those fucking memes that were quotes that aren't attributed to him, fucking Killian Murphy from Peaky Blinders, like, oh my god, enough,
Mhm.
like, enough.
Now, we don't have the audio turned out, but I know you're also a big
Oh,
contingent against the voice. He particularly
well,
has in
dude,
this one.
it's so bad.
I heard someone
It's
say this. It
so
was like, I think a tweet or something. I think it's accurate. It's kind of like Alec Baldwin-y,
yeah, but you know,
but not like the Hush Baldwin. It's more of just like he's like kind of screaming
no,
his stuff through. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I don't. Yeah, I don't know. It's just bad.
I think this is the stuff right here was where like in sequences where he's not actually yelling, it sounds kind of like Jack Donaghy, like he's about to say like it's Wednesday,
Yeah,
Gordon.
yeah, I agree. And then when he's like, yeah, whenever he's trying to emote or yell as Batman, it's pretty awful.
Here's Michael Caine, of course, reprising his role as Alfred. I would argue, I think Batman Begins is his best performance as Alfred, but I still like a lot of what he does in this one. I know we have like a huge thing about like Rises, where you're not as huge a fan of him in that either.
Uh, I really like him in this one and in the first one, but yeah, Rises is just a little too much for me.
Yeah, I think I just like seeing Michael Caine, even in Rises. I would argue he's not doing paycheck Michael Caine, because paycheck Michael Caine is just checked out Michael Caine, like Jaws of the Revenge Michael Caine.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. I see what you're doing there. Now, how do you feel about? I like this sort of version of sort of the cave. Like, I didn't care that he wasn't in the Bat Cave anymore. That he's got like this industrial hidden bunker. Like, I think it's pretty cool.
I like the idea that it just shows that Batman is adaptable, or Bruce Wayne in this case is adaptable to where like, oh, my cave falls in. Well, I have other routes I could go to, like this underground sort of area that he's basically built. And I like the look how it's like this rustic kind of walls and everything where like it's clearly aged because they're on that dock versus the sleek whiteness of the lighting.
Yes, and I like the big loft apartment and all that stuff. Like, I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah. I almost wish they didn't recreate Wayne Manor with the exact same building because I'd almost like for him to have a third location entirely.
I agree. Because what? I do like him more as Bruce Wayne than I do as Batman.
Well, I think that's a big thing with this entire trilogy is that he's like some interpret where it's like, oh, Batman's the real persona versus a Bruce Wayne, just as kind of like this facade. I think Bruce Wayne is the real person, but we get different aspects where like you'll have him play Playboy Bruce Wayne or Batman. It's
Right.
Bruce Wayne is like one of many different facets as opposed to Batman is just like a part of that particular person.
I agree.
Here we have Aaron Eckhart and Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Yeah. 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 Now, Maggie Gyllenhaal, I do think she's a very capable actress. I don't mind her. I used to always kind of have a problem with her for some reason, but I think she's fine in this. Aaron Eckhart, I can't stand his performance in this movie.
Is that a thing with
I
Aaron Eckhart
really,
in general or just in this particular movie?
no, I don't. Well, to be fair, other than thank you for smoking, I can't really tell you an Aaron Eckhart performance, and I'm like, oh, he was so fucking good.
Aaron
He's kind of.
motherfucking Brockovich.
Oh, I haven't seen that in forever.
He's
Dude.
so
I wouldn't
fucking
even.
phenomenal in that movie. I love him in that movie. I think there's a lot of like Aaron Eckhart's career can literally be separated between pre-Dark Knight and post-Dark Knight, I would argue, because post-Dark Knight is a fucking tragedy compared to like I think he's playing like some of the Neil LaBute movies he did, like Flirting with Disaster and a few other things like that. What I like about him, even in this movie and in some his better performances, is that like he plays a guy who on his face looks like he could be very clean cut and even has like a lot of idealistic tendencies to him, but he can really like either crumble apart or reveal that he actually has very sinister intentions as things go along. And I think this movie's a bit more of like, oh, he is idealistic, but Gotham completely destroys him as a person.
Yeah. Okay. I just think it's. I just don't. I just. I think he's too bland as Harvey, and I think he's way too over the top as Two Face. Certain line delivery alone kind of seals that for me. Still,
We'll get to that.
I don't know.
Sure, we'll get to that.
Yeah, we will in about I don't know what is it 7 hours or whatever.
Hey, it's only 6 hours after this point. Get it right.
Oh, sorry.
don't see moments like this. I really like him because I think, especially like playing off of somebody like a Gary Oldman, it's a lot of him just kind of being like, "Look, I'm trying to be the right person, and I know that your cops are dirty. I don't think you're dirty, but I know a lot of your fucking force is dirty, and I'm not gonna like take that." I think there's a bit of a frankness, but there's also like an earnestness at the same time that I think really works about him. I might agree that I think when he becomes Two-Face, it's a lesser version of his performance, but I like especially him playing off of like some of these other people. There's a really great scene, I think, in a second between him and Gordon and Batman that I also love.
Hmm. I mean, I love Gary Oldman. I think Gary Oldman's fully carrying the weight of any scene he's in with either person,
Mm-hmm.
with a very sort of muted performance. Like, now, could you imagine, like, if it's Gary Oldman from The Professional in this, then he'd be like, "What the fuck is happening?" But this is probably one of the more understated mainstream Gary Oldman performances that are out there.
Right. I think a big thing was Nolan approached him originally to play Ra's al Ghul in Begins, and he was like, "I don't want to
Yes,
play a fucking villain again," so he played fucking Commissioner Gordon. I think he's perfect for that.
I agree. I remember when I heard that casting, I was like, "Oh yeah."
Hey, Morgan
Kind of
Freeman.
same way. What's Jeffrey Wright? On the new one, I'm like, "Oh yeah."
Right.
Yeah, Lucius Fox.
Oh god, I love the guy who plays Reese. I think Reese is such a perfect like weaselly casting that I fucking
Oh.
I think it's so. His name is Joshua Harto, and I think he's just like a
Hmm.
perfect like little slimy piece of shit. How do you feel about Morgan Freeman's Lucius Fox?
It could be, literally kind of the same way I feel about Michael Caine. I think he's fine in the first one, good in this one, and then the third one, he's kind of like, no, okay. It's just, I think they were all so tired already. I mean, to be honest, and plus, it was such a, you know, big, decent sized break in between the two and all that shit. So,
I don't know. The same year is Wanted, where I would argue Morgan Freeman is far more tired. Far more tired as a person.
yeah, yeah. Except when Morgan Freeman says "motherfucker" and "want it," for some reason, it makes me laugh every time.
Shoot this motherfucker. It's the best part of that movie.
Now I want you all to shoot this motherfucker. I'm like, yeah, Morgan Freeman, baby. And then the rest of the movie's like, oh,
Also, that
man.
comes at the end of the movie, so you're already like really bored and like, oh what? Oh, he said motherfucker. Yeah, this is part of what I love about Bale's performance as Bruce Wayne is that now he's playing like playboy asshole so perfectly. Like such a piece of shit who feels like he's a guy who came from family and fuck you money.
Yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, yeah, 100%. Like in the first one, one of my favorite scenes in the first one is going, "I'm buying this place and I'm changing the rules about the pool."
Yes.
Yeah, fuck it, just shoves a blank check in the waiter's pocket. Like, what is that gonna do? It's so awesome, though. Like, it's perfect.
I know this is introducing an idea that I know you're not usually a fan of with Batman, of him contemplating like quitting and bringing it to somebody else like a Harvey Dent. I'm guessing is that a big problem you have with the movie as well?
I, well, at first, yeah, at first it was a really big issue with it, 100%. But as I get older and stuff, and I'm allowed to separate sort of the source material from the film versions. Like, this is just their version of Batman, dude. He wants out, man. He wants out. He wants a life. He wants to be with Rachel. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
I don't really have a problem with it. That's why I understand why there's a lot of detractors for the third one, even though I do like the third one. But it's like it's kind of the same thing again. He's out now; he has to get back in again, and it's just okay.
Because I remember when we covered the movie, that was like one of your big contentious points with it, with Rises, was that you weren't a big fan of him trying to leave it, and they kind of betrayed the character.
Well, it betrays the character that they set up for that movie. I mean, it's just I don't.
You know what? Hold on. I want to pause this discussion because this is one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie. This whole sequence, sure. I think, is
Michael Jai White.
Michael Jai White in this? Because he's awesome. I love the way he plays off of Joker here. He's so fun. Just like, enough with the clown. He's so fucking good. I think, like, there's Eric Roberts, of course, we mentioned earlier, just being Eric Roberts. I would argue probably his last good performance in the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Unless we count a talking cat.
Well, yeah. Or the Doctor, or whatever the hell those things are. Oh, They're like my favorite thing. Dr. Danger or whatever.
Right, it's about, like, for those who don't know, Adam showed me, like, it's these movies where he plays, like, a gynecologist or something that, like stalks women or something. It's like a series of movies where he's been doing this.
Mm-hmm. And the posters are just bad Photoshop pictures of Eric Roberts' face with, like, mini blinds superimposed over them.
Yes. Really weird that those exist.
Hey, Chin Han.
Yes.
Or Shang Tsung now. Or, you know, he's a good actor.
Yes, he is. What I really love about this whole sequence is it's the perfect showcase for, like, how Ledger is both genuinely intimidating, but also, like, funny in his way that I don't think he gets a lot of credit for with his performance. He's, like, very darkly funny, like this whole bit with the pencil. It's gone.
Yes. Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, he's just crazy. Like, he does a really good way of being just crazy in there, you know, where he's like, I'm gonna, yeah. Like, it's just...
Oh, yeah, that's coming up. That's my favorite bit of delivery in the scene.
Yeah. He doesn't give a fuck about anybody in this room. That's one of my favorite bits, and then later on when we get to the where he pulls the mask down and he's like, hi.
Yes. And we can't hear it, but he's doing a lot of his great audio, like, verbal tics, like all the stuff with, like, the mouth and stuff that are, like, so good. We're like, you can tell he's, like, unhinged, but at the same time, he's so convincing, especially to this group of fucking criminals, where it's just like, he doesn't have a plan. His only plan is just to convince other people he has a plan, which I think is, like, the perfect kind of setup for a Joker in this universe.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh yeah, I love that he calls him the television.
Mm-hmm.
This is just a life model that's about to come up here. If you're good at something,
What's
never
that?
do it for free.
Yeah. Yep.
How fucking Jai White is seething. He cannot handle the Joker being here.
He's about to fucking black dynamite his ass.
Yep.
There we go. Let's not blow.
Yep, without missing a beat. Yeah.
You think you can steal from us? Just walk away? Yeah.
And it's so astonishing, especially when you go back to when this movie was in production, and people were like, this guy, the guy from Brokeback Mountain, playing Joker? Everyone was, like, so dubious. And, like, the moment footage and, like, pictures started popping up, it's just like, oh, this guy is doing something very distinct. Even before he died. He's like, he looked like he was doing something completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love this scene, especially for the fact that it's like, it's Dent and Gordon going off on each other, and then in the background, Batman's just like, should I leave? Do you want me to, like, stay here? This seems like a personal thing.
Please stop fighting. You're going to give me a complex.
Mom and Dad, are you ready for me? Especially how stoic.
I promise I'll get better at tennis.
Especially how stoic he is.
Uh-huh.
I like the fact that this movie is basically like, oh hey, there's a city going on with like all the politics and criminal stuff, all this, and Batman is just a small section of it. That's just like Gotham feels like a vibrant, big environment, and Batman's just like, yeah, I'm here, and now I'm not.
Oh, Commissioner Gordon, thank God there was a man.
I love Morgan Freeman's bow tie.
Yeah, it's great.
He's one of the few people who can pull off a bow tie and not feel, especially at that age, and not feel like, oh, you're at the old
Not
nursing
like
home.
hipster. Or not feel like a fucking hipster.
True, true.
No offense to hipsters who are listening.
I'm sure our main demographic.
You know, sorry if you spit out your PBR. You fucks. You. Anyways.
Thank you for giving us money.
Yeah, thank you very much. It really is, that means you give us money. So thank you.
Whatever they don't spend on PBR, they spend on us.
Oh, those things just flew off and hit another thing.
Yep, it's that good old fashioned setup and payoff.
Yeah, that's something.
That's something. That's some old cinematic technique.
Rarely works though. You know what I mean?
Oh, never. No, Robert Zemeckis, why you keep doing it? Never worked for
Right.
you. Also, a genius alibi.
Yes.
Just like completely, like that would work perfectly for like a chauvinistic thing. Like this is the kind of stuff where like it goes to show like people are off the scent entirely of him being Batman and all. Because like this guy is not at all altruistic. He's such a piece of shit in public. Yeah, this is great. Oh, did I tell you I'd fall a shark around here, love?
I love that all the Joker's henchmen are like younger and kind of, you know what I mean? Like they follow him.
Yeah, they read his posts on Reddit.
Yep.
I also love in this movie how there's so much stuff that is like horrific, but you see no blood.
Yep.
Like this particular thing with Gamble, where like you see him with the knife straight up to Michael J. White's mouth the whole time, but you'll never see the incision when it happens. And this is probably my favorite aspect of this Joker character, that like he invents the different storylines every time.
Yes. So you have no idea.
Yep. Though I
Yeah.
missed opportunity not to have one where he's just like, so my mother made sure I was abused as a child and I became a failed stand-up comedian. Such a great story. Wonderful story.
Mhm.
I also love too that his suit looks like if it was
Mhm.
clean, it would be a great looking fucking suit, but it almost looks like he just dug it out of like a rich person's trash.
Yes, or bought it at like the local salvo or something like that, and then didn't wash it or nothing.
Yes.
That's so jacked up.
Yep.
Uh,
And it's also interesting given, like, in this 2 hour, 32-minute movie, Joker only has about 33 minutes of screen time, I read up. And I like that, for me, the movie manages to, like, dull that out in a way that feels kind of like Beetlejuice and Beetlejuice being only in there for, like, 17 minutes. You still feel his presence even though he's not around.
Um, yeah,
Right, I would
I mean, I
argue.
get,
That's why I preface that with I
yeah,
would argue.
yeah. No, I completely understand what you're saying, and I don't think you're too far off there. Um, but I feel like how much screen time did you say he supposedly has?
33 minutes.
Okay, so it's 33 minutes. Yeah, that doesn't. Nah, no, it's a 2 hour and 33 minute movie, almost exactly. And so that's 2 hours of just not the most exciting thing in the film being in it. Now, I'm not saying he should be in it the whole movie, but there definitely should. I personally think definitely should have been a little bit more Joker in this.
But I mean, I would argue that the Joker has like so many ripples throughout. Like this whole movie is about kind of like the Joker enters in, and then the chaos ripples after he leaves.
Did you say chaos?
Yes, I did, Christian. I did, Christian. Yes.
Idiot! Don't say chaos to me. You're stupid, man.
Coming in here, changing the lights like da.
You won't ride through my sideline. Oh God, you fucking asshole.
I've heard that cinematographer on Terminator Salvation also is infamous for doing that in the middle of takes. He'll just come in and like change lights and shit.
Yeah, it came out like quite a bit later, but yeah, a lot of people were like, "Oh, that guy's fucking, he sucks. He does it all the time." You got to figure if you're doing a movie scene, you're trying to play someone else. Here comes some grip, like, hey, hold on, lights. You're like, what the fuck, dude? So I get it.
Now, this is an example where I won't name names, maybe someone on this particular commentary might argue, why does he have to have this whole escapade in Hong Kong? Why is it maybe necessary to the whole plot overall? And I can't necessarily disagree that it might be, you could shorten the movie and maybe make some of the pacing a bit tighter without it. But at the same time, I think it's a great way of showing off that, like, once again, this is how it's escalated now for Bruce. We're just like, oh, I'm not just, like, beating up criminals in the middle of Gotham anymore. I am going to Hong Kong. I am going to dress up as Batman and, like, sky jump off one of the tallest buildings in the world. And I'm going to get my man. I think, like, it shows, once again, like, what I love about Nolan's Batman movies is the fact that Bruce Wayne's a fucking crazy person in these movies. And it's very clear. It's just like, this guy is a crazy man. And I don't think they shy away from that.
But I will give credit where credit's due. I agree with you there, because and I don't know necessarily that it's a hot take, but a lot of people don't even think about it that way. That dude, Bruce Wayne is a sociopath.
Yeah.
Like he's crazy, dude. He is the perfect. I mean, him and the Joker are polar opposites, only in the fact that Bruce Wayne doesn't cause basically terrorism and chaos, but he's still dual identity. He's still nuts, man. I mean, he's got the same sort of like code, all that stuff. It's just his is different, but they still not necessarily blindly, but follow it to almost a religious sort of
Yeah, and even that he, as later, this scene introduces the idea of the sonar.
I'm not saying Bruce Wayne's like Marshall Applewhite or nothing like that.
Right.
But still.
And this scene introduces, like, the idea of the sonar, which will become, like, another crucial point. Just like, wait, you're doing what with all this technology? It's just like, anything to get at any costs. I think it's another example where, like, he flirts with these, like, crazy, weird, almost right-wing concepts of just, like, I have to have constant surveillance. But then he at least has the wherewithal to be like, how about you put your name in it, and then it'll just explode.
Mm-hmm. Put your name in there. I spelled it for you. Spelled all fucked up.
Crazy.
Lucas Facts. Yeah, Lucas Facts.
Or it's just Lucas and then a
My
picture.
girlfriend.
It's Lucas and then like a picture of like a hand drawn fox from Let a Child would do.
Yep. The C is backwards and it's in crayons and shit.
I like this tension here too. Just like he's kind of wait until the plane comes in, just like, so, you guys have anything for lunch?
Right.
I gotta go. Bye.
We're a human kite. Whee! This kite technically was made in China. It's appropriate. So stupid. I mean, it's not stupid. It's cool. It is a great scene. It's shot fucking legit. Like that scene looked great.
Yeah.
But it is. We're wasting a lot of time here with this guy.
I don't know if we're necessarily wasting a lot of time. I think like this is important so we can have like the guys in Gotham PD have what they perceive to be a win. Like this character, the Lau character, is basically them just being like, oh, we have some kind of in, we have an ability where we can get into this particular bit, which completely doesn't prepare them at all for the Joker shit that he's gonna do later. It gives them a false sense of security before everything just crumbles later.
Mm.
I think this scene and Maggie Gyllenhaal's last scene are like her best bits in this movie, because I think I get where you were coming through with like Maggie Gyllenhaal in this movie. I think like with her and even Katie Holmes in Batman Begins, I don't think it's really on them as much as I think Rachel in general isn't a great character in these
It's a
movies.
bad. No, it's a bad character. It's a bad character. To me, I mean, it's an easy plot thing to do. You know, the power of love. Doot, 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 doot. So both these men want to change their lives because they love this woman and all that. And I get it. It is a very common and yet, you know, accessible sort of idea for majority of sort of moviegoers and everything. But it can also be a very unnecessary thing and something that sort of bogs down certain character development. And I do think the Rachel character is that in to a T.
And also waste the
Um,
time of solid actresses who are just kind of in like a role
yeah,
that like I like in this movie that she seems like she could be like a solid like DA, or like I'm not sure what exactly her title is, but she's like just part of like the DA force.
she's
Like
she's an ADA.
right.
She's an ADA
Yeah,
assistant to the
assistant.
district attorney.
Right. She feels like she's legitimately like a part of like she's very capable, but then later on it's just like, Bruce, I don't get it. Why are you Batman? It's not my to be fair,
Mm,
it's not my hugest problem with this movie. We'll get to that. Put a pin in that for my biggest
sure,
problem
sure,
with
sure.
this movie. Um
Yay. You sure you want to embarrass me in front of my friends, Lieutenant? Slaps down a DVD of a talking cat.
No, I'll show them
Yep.
art like a talking cat. I wonder if that means anything.
Right. I don't think there's anybody who lives in Gotham where they got a Joker card. Even the Joker, they know who the Joker is. They got pictures on him. I don't think anybody would get that. Like, that's what? Who put a random fucking vintage Joker card? But
I'm sorry.
probably doesn't mean anything.
Anybody who thinks Christopher Nolan is a humorless director, I think that whole bit, like the reveal of the whole crowd and also the stenographer being like, fuck if I know. I don't know what they're doing. She was like, he has a solid
Oh,
sense of humor.
I've always liked him, Nestor. It's like Nestor Carboni or Carbonelli or something like that.
I believe
This
so,
actor.
yes.
Yeah, I like him. He's a good actor.
And I like him as almost like he's like the hip new mayor of Gotham.
Hmm.
He's trying to like,
Yeah, hip, young, good-looking mayor. Like, yeah, yeah, yeah. He was first time I ever saw him was he played in another superhero thing in the original live adaptation of The Tick. He was like the version of Deflator Mouse that they had.
mm-hmm.
So
Well, you're talking
suck
about
on that.
the live action one or the cartoon, Adam?
Yeah, the first one with Patrick Warburton.
That's not the first one, sir. The cartoon is first.
I said the first live adaptation.
Oh, wait, I love this jump scare
So
here.
I said it better.
I love this jump scare with the hanging
Yeah,
fake
it's a good one.
Batman. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's pretty fucked up.
And so you can tell that not only is Michael Mann a huge influence, but also clearly like Seven. There's so much of Seven with like some of the things, or later, especially what we're
Yes.
about to get here with the handheld camera thing.
Mm-hmm. Which I remember when Anthony Michael Hall was cast in this movie. People were like, "Oh, who's he playing? Oh my God, who's he gonna be?" It's like he's in it for 5 minutes.
He's
You
an
know what
anchor.
I mean? Like,
Yeah.
just nothing.
And this is Ledger actually doing all the photography, and this is all like the first stuff he shot. It's like this in the later video that shows up. It also shows interestingly how like this is right before Paranormal Activity comes out. So it even shows that like, oh, even found footage was also in sort of the zeitgeisty point, even in a mainstream major blockbuster movie.
Oh, sure, definitely. I mean, you could think Blair Witch Project for that, but I mean, honestly, since Blair Witch Project, it's kind of always been in the zeitgeist to show something unnerving or creepy or scary.
But I mean, I would argue that Blair Witch felt like it was almost an anomaly in '99, and then the huge found footage boom came post Paranormal Activity. Because how many can you think of like in between the two?
Uh, Cloverfield.
That's one, yes.
Uh, America's Funniest Home
The scariest one. Good point.
Video. I don't know, man. Stop putting me on the spot.
Well, this isn't actually like a fun commentary between two friends. This is an interrogation. That's what the secret thing is.
Oh, fuck.
I won't start with the victim's head though. He gets all fuzzy.
Hmm.
I'll say that was also Kane's best, I think, line delivery. This is like, oh, you have no idea about crazy boyfriends.
The first one, I'd argue, he had a lot more really good lines in Batman Begins. Michael Caine did.
Look, the best emotional point in Batman Begins is him repeating the why, what happens when we fall down,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Bruce? We get ourselves back up. That's like the emotional crux of that whole movie.
What's the point of doing all those push-ups if you can't even lift a bloody log?
It's a bummer that even though he's very old at this point, like apparently like he's the only times he's really acted in the last couple of years has been for like a Nolan cameo, like in Tenet. I think he's finally reached like a retirement stage with Kane.
That's probably for the best. I mean, not to say that he's not always good. Just he's got nothing left to prove.
No, not at all.
And I'm sure he doesn't need the fucking money.
He already bought that house with that Jaws 4 money.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the most Jaws 4 has been referenced in a Dark Knight related discussion on the internet, I think. I think we can safely say that record book is ours.
Yeah, and I'm sure it won't be the last time either.
No, get ready.
Instead of Michael Jai White, it should have been Mario Van Peebles. We had a reunion.
Yes.
Hey. Thanks, cock blocker.
You with your butt chin. By the way, Batman wouldn't have a butt chin.
There's too much sausage in this sandwich. Get out of here. I love Mozart. Commissioner Loeb. Wink, wink, nod, nod. By the way,
Yes.
do you understand the reference?
Why don't you tell it to everybody in the crowd?
It's Jeff Loeb.
Yes.
Big time, sort of comic book guy, specifically for DC.
Right. And later he would go on to do a lot of, like, particularly TV stuff for Marvel until, like, fairly recently.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And this introduces a lot of the stuff where, like, Joker's whole gambit is just like, oh, you're trying to do the by protocol thing? Well, guess what? That fucks you over. Which I think works in...
Yeah.
Which I think works in this movie, but I think also one of many trends this movie kind of influenced that sucks. It's like so many other movies are about like, oh, the guy wants you to do the right thing. The villain wants you to capture him. Like so many fucking big blockbusters strip this off.
It'd be funny if she was trying to be cute, put a little Vienna sausage on his chin.
This is what you all pay for, this insight.
Love you, hot dog face. God damn it, Rachel, say it! Say it! Say hot dog face!
Now, there's a moment where, on paper, does that make a lot of sense that the car would blow up the moment she looks at the paper and the timing of it? Not necessarily. But also, counterpoint, I don't care.
No, well, I personally think that it was written backwards. I think it was supposed to say PU, that he busted ass in her car.
You're stinky.
Yeah. Enjoy my farts. You're gonna like them. He's so good in this. I mean, the way he's eating this shit. I mean, look at him, dude. He is just fucking. I mean, the thing is, I mean, obviously, again, two fucking white guys. So, can you believe Heath Ledger is the Joker? What a great performance it is! And,
Hot take, guys. It's a really good performance.
Hot take. It's really fucking good, guys. But no, I mean, it is. It's just it's one of the most transformative performances I've probably seen. Like, there's no question. Like, looking at that guy, that's not Heath Ledger, dude.
That's not that guy from 10 Things I Hate About You or whatever.
No, man, not at all. Oh, wait a minute. Let me get this right. So those two people were just banging in Bruce Wayne's room?
Yeah.
All right.
What a kink. You just like, let's fuck in this billionaire's bed.
Mm-hmm.
Also, chat, this guy is the senator from Vermont, not Mr. Bernie Sanders, but his name is Patrick Leahy, and he's been in a bunch of Batman movies because he's like a huge comic book fan.
Yep. I wish it was Bernie Sanders. Get that knife away from my mouth!
You will take the 1% of that knife in my mouth.
Socialism. It's not a thing. Or is it? See, I was vacationing in the Bahamas and there was a shark under the water.
My father worked at Martha's Vineyard. They say he died of a heart attack, but he died from the fear of the shark.
The shark fouled my family.
That's the actual, so that's canon. That's actually what happened.
That's actually what happened.
Joker's the lost Brody brother.
Yep.
I used to work at SeaWorld.
This is such a fucked up story he's telling.
Yes.
This isn't lipstick. And these scars are from red Flavor 8 popsicles.
I'm a
It's
big.
plastic.
I love flaming hot Cheetos. And I love this too, like the part of his performance where like he's just giddy that Batman's here.
Oh yeah, he's stoked. Look at him.
He's like he throws one of his guys at him. It's so good.
I don't know.
And this is another one that I saw that was like commented on a lot by like CinemaSins or Honest Trailer style online stuff. Just like, how could you possibly save her from this particular height and all this other stuff? And my answer to that is,
Batman.
well, he's Batman, but also like what's more important about this scene isn't like the physics of it as much as the fact that it's Bruce saving Rachel so that when he loses her, it completely like deflates him because he knows he can do it. That's why like it hurts all the more to like see him actually save her here, and then later on it just like crumbles him apart.
And it's also incredibly important to show that that's his vulnerability. The Joker got it right then and there.
Yes.
Like knows how to really fuck him. Like, and that's the point. Yeah, that didn't never bother me.
Yeah, I love Chin Han especially here, where he's just like he knows he's dead, so he's just kind of like the lackadaisical, just like all right, whatever. I mean, I'm gonna get my head blown off or something.
It's always just remind. This is such a cool story too.
Oh, the Burma
Burma
thing.
story.
Yes.
Also, yeah, fuck. What was Alfred involved in? Like, it's so cool.
It gives like this fun mystery because I know like in the comics they've hinted at that like he was at least
Yeah,
part of
that
like
he was in
World War II, right?
Yeah, he was in the army and stuff.
Right. Yeah, if I were Bruce Wayne, it's just like, Alfred, what did you used to do?
Right.
Just like, did you smuggle black tar heroin into the U.S.? What'd you do?
You really should see somebody, Alfred. You got a lot of pent up rage.
You have a lot of problems, so if you'll excuse me, I have to put on my bat suit. One of many great shots of just Batman fucking like on a rooftop or whatever.
Yeah, chilling in Chicago.
Yeah.
You work for me, Alfred. Actually, sir, I used to work for your parents. Why would you bring him up?
I gotta go explore Chicago. Chicago, my kind of town.
Sweet home, Chicago.
I'm gonna go play the House of Blues after this.
I wish Randy Newman did the soundtrack for this movie. Batman, go to get the Joker. Get him, Batman.
Which that's a good excuse to need to shout out. I love the collaboration of James Newton Howard and Hans Zimmer in these two movies. It's such a perfect contrast where like Zimmer has all the like more rough or like the violins and stuff, and Howard has a lot more like the quiet like orchestrative contemplative stuff.
Yeah, I agree. Now the score in these movies is pretty brilliant.
Yeah, you can really tell by Rises that it's just Zimmer.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another fun Batman-y thing of just like, oh, I can pinpoint exactly like the fingerprint and reassemble a fucking bullet. Sure.
Hmm. Yeah, why not? That's one thing that none of the movies have done well yet, though. And this one does it okay. It's probably the best example, honestly, in this one than any of the other ones. Is he's also the world's greatest detective.
Yeah, one movie's only been able to do that, and it's technically part of an ongoing thing anyway. Mask of the Phantasm.
Yeah, buddy.
And most of it's just Kevin Conroy reading off exposition while Batman's animated, like, I'm on a keyboard. Let me tell you all
Hmm.
about this. Oh yeah, this is once again the Reese is such a great weasel of just like, yep, I got this all figured out. I'm gonna get $10 million for the rest of my life. And Morgan Freeman's dead ass expression followed by his line is one of my favorite just
Yep.
Morgan Freeman moments in any movie. Just the realization on his fucking face. I love also that Reese's actor, no offense, looks like a child who like aged into being adult everywhere except his face.
Yes. Looks like a child. He looks like if Big was actually like real, like a kid wished to be big.
You would not look like Tom Hanks. I'm sorry, not '80s Tom Hanks.
Right, like you picture Reese opened his like suit coat. He's on the shoulders of another little kid.
He's Vincent Adult Man from BoJack Horseman.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a lawyer.
I want $10 million for the rest of my life.
Call me Mr. Weese's, because those are the wishes.
Okay, we're coming up soon on my biggest problem with this movie.
Uh-oh. Can't wait to hear it.
I take blah 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 blah. Yeah, scenes like this, also like that set and everything, are other reasons where I'm like, man, I do wish Nolan had made a Dark Knight movie. I mean, a James Bond movie.
Yeah,
He'd
for
always
sure.
wanted to, and I think he'd be pretty good for it.
There's still a chance, man.
Well, now that he's
I
divorced
want
from
to.
Warner Brothers, and he's like with Universal right now, but
Yeah,
other fish in the
there's a
sea.
chance. Yeah. There's a lot of windows.
A lot of windows from an apartment-filled urban environment.
I don't like that. They would never allow this to happen like this.
I mean, probably not. Not in like especially like a weird corner of the city. It feels kind of
Hmm.
isolated. Another clever bit that he tries to examine something and the timer goes off.
Hmm.
Here we have, I would argue, the first big major role, and it's not even a huge role in this movie, but at least for him, David Dismachian right there.
Yep, first time I've ever seen him,
Yeah.
for sure.
And here comes Ledger without the makeup but the scars.
Yeah.
Yeah, creepy image. Okay. I hate the whole Gordon plot in this movie. It doesn't make any sense that he fakes his death. I don't like it. Especially that he doesn't tell his family at all about it is the biggest thing I've soured on this whole fucking time since I first saw this movie. Just it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. No, I know. Why?
It's like I didn't want to put my family at risk. Just like I don't think your family would have told anybody that you weren't actually dead.
No. Yeah.
And it's only just so we can get like Dent to be this pissed off, which we could have done without having him fake his death. I remember also when this came out, everyone was like, "Oh, is he going to be the Riddler in the next movie?" Or some shit.
Really?
That was like a stupid online chat. Believe me, I was on the internet very much post Dark Knight and seeing all the stupid fan theories.
Uh-huh. That is a pretty dumb one. Oh, wow, they're egotistical, huh? So their daughter's name is Barbara, and their son's name is Jimmy. Named after Barbara and Jimmy.
Yeah, I wouldn't know that at all as a person named Thomas whose father's also Thomas.
Yeah. What makes you think I want to hear you talk? Fucking Eric Roberts. Scumbag.
And just love also the image of just like, oh shit, I'm looking down the fucking walkway of this club and fucking Batman's beating up people.
Just beating the shit out of my guys. Like, gee, I wonder what's about to happen to me.
Or even if you're not Eric Roberts, if you're just like somebody on the other side, I'm just like, what the is that fucking Batman? I'm trying to like club.
Dude, I'm trying to have a Jaeger bomb, bro.
Oh man, I just dropped a lot of E. I can't fucking handle this.
Holy shit, bro. It's like the shadows. Move it, bro.
Apologies.
Thomas dropped the ball once again.
That metallic sounding ball.
Yep. I love how they say it. Bruce's penthouse, safest place in the city. Isn't that the place you just got dropped out of the window of? like Joker can get in there.
Look, if two people can get into his bad room and fuck each other, I don't know how secure it is.
Yeah.
And I think at the same time, like his voice also works so
this is
well,
so good,
contrasting,
hold on,
against Roberts, especially counting on it. Ooh. We're not hearing the sound, but the sound effect they use for that is perfect.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, like I was saying, I like it also works to like his weird wacky voice contrasting off like Eric Roberts just like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, Alec Baldwin.
Never me, we were in heaven's prisoners together. It's not a good movie.
I would know, believe me. I've been in plenty of them.
Yeah. You sound like a talking cat. They bring back the Penguin, but then do the Batman Returns tagline. The Bat, the Cat, and the Penguin is just Eric Roberts and Batman. And the Penguin.
Also, I heard a big thing with like Dismalchian was like he was apparently like a serious drug addict at this time, and this was
Big
kind of
time.
like what made him like ship up, and not be
Yep.
and like actually get his career together.
I mean,
But
you
for,
can even tell by looking at his face in here. I mean, how skinny and gaunt he is.
yes, he looks so much more gaunt than he does like in the Ant-Man movies and other shit like that. And good for him.
Yeah.
I love him as a character
Oh,
actor.
absolutely.
Every time he pops up.
Me too. He's great, dude. He's great. I can't wait to see him in that little movie Dune that's coming out.
Oh, a little obscure film.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That one I haven't talked about. You do stuff with your face. So it's like you got two of them. Harvey face.
And I actually like that
Uh,
scene to show that like he's cracking.
yeah.
I think it works to show that like he, despite being like this guy who like I love the fact that casting Aaron Eckhart works so perfectly because he looks like a dude who would be totally electable. Like you could
Yes.
like seeing his face on posts, like oh, it makes perfect sense. And he like kind of walks the walk for a while, but he can't handle the pressure of like fucking Gotham City, where it's just like I've got a bad guy and there are clowns running around. I didn't study for this.
So, I remember this was coming out, man, and there was a lot of sort of casting rumors and stuff. And I remember two of the biggest one was either Hugh Jackman or Liev Schreiber as Harvey.
Yeah, Hugh Jackman because he just been in the Prestige, though I doubt he would have done
Mhm.
it because he was so very deep into
Yeah.
Wolverine at that point. Schreiber wouldn't have been bad at all. I think it would have been a really solid choice.
Schreiber. I love Liev Schreiber.
I don't know. Could Liev Schreiber pull off Incarnate?
Or Frankenstein. Schreiber.
There's only one Frankenstein, sir.
Yeah. And it's I. Oh.
Hot take, Adam. Those are worse movies than this one.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Pretty much, I mean, I'll go on the record and say right now, anything post Dark Knight starring Aaron Eckhart is worse than this movie. Like, that is a fact.
Yeah, I don't know. Battle Los Angeles, Adam, everyone's favorite.
I mean, I know. I knew that's the one you were thinking about. It's not good.
You know, or him and Sully was just like, this was no video game.
Oh, God, I forgot about that shit, too.
Though I do also remember the
Oh,
first movie he did after this was a movie called Love Happens, which is a movie that
yep.
doesn't exist at all. But I only remembered because it stars Jennifer Aniston, and with how many times he says Rachel in this movie. That's the only
It
reason I'll
wasn't
ever
the one
remember that
that's
fucking movie.
when there was one that's like called like My Name is Frank or something like that. So I just
Um,
remember the stupid like poster. I don't remember the exactly name, but he had like a "Hello, my name is" thing on his forehead with the character name.
I think that I
I
don't
don't
know.
remember
You're
what it's
at
called. Just yeah.
oh no,
I
that
forgot
was
the
Meet
character.
Bill. I'm looking at the poster right now.
Yay!
Yes, that came out actually
No.
before this one though. That was like in
Oh,
April of 2008.
it's too bad they fucking didn't get to see that first before casting him in this.
Oh, you know what? I will say he's very good in a movie called Rabbit Hole with Nicole Kidman that came out after this.
Yes.
It's probably the only
Eh.
other good movie he's after this. But anyway, we're on this big press conference scene, which has a lot of the stuff you can make fun of this movie for the most with the ADR. It's like,
Yeah.
things are worse than ever, and no more dead cops.
Batman's an outlaw. It's a fucking dumb. Shut up. Nobody talks like this.
No, Adam, things are worse than ever.
Things are worse than ever.
And the guy like, amen, right afterward. Especially during like a press
I mean,
conference
are
where like they're
they- but
press.
Are they? But are they worse than ever?
I mean, people are dying left and right, and the Joker's around putting a lot of fear.
Yeah, but half of Gotham had to be, sort of. isolated because of fear toxins, and the subway is not destroyed yet or anything like that. So I don't know.
Maybe it's more of a consistent shittiness. Maybe that's what it is.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll give it that.
And to be fair, everyone at this press conference seems like to be very like Blue Lives Matter types.
This is the part that I didn't like. Right here.
That he admits he's the Batman.
No, not that. I have no problem with that. I get what he's doing. But that Bruce was like, all right, fuck it, I'll stand up. I'm Batman. Like, I don't think he would do that. Like, even this iteration of the character wouldn't have done that. Because if he did, it puts Alfred at stake. It puts everything at stake. I just don't think he would have done it.
I believe that Bruce Wayne is despite how much he says that he's just like, oh no, I try and plan this out so carefully, he's also clearly a very impulsive person. I would believe he would have that hesitation. And then...
Which I think, that might be my biggest problem with this iteration of the character.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, in these movies, yes, he is incredibly impulsive and everything like that. But in the comics and even the movies before it, and he's, rage and anger sometimes, but he's always very meticulous and has things sort of figured out. That's why he's the world's greatest detective, and the world's this and the world's that. Which I understand, it's a silly concept that, this brilliant inventor is also a ninja and also a superhero and also all this stuff. But there's certain things that, I don't know, you just don't portray, in my opinion, when it comes to source material, or betray. I mean, and it just...
I have more of an issue with that when it gets to say like arises where it's like I'm going to take an 8-year gap from being Batman. I think that's a more egregious kind of problem. Like a lot of those things I don't think are as present in Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, but they feel like they're like those laurels are rested on and firmly rested on in Rises with a lot of like the weird decisions he makes, which is especially that he's so impulsive, but he'd spend 8 years not doing any kind of Batman shit. Sure.
Yeah, that's true. And by the way, who didn't take a pass at this script and be like, man, we're really giving this SWAT team passenger guy a lot of lines. Like, what the fuck? The guy is driving with Gordon. He talks nonstop.
I think he has a few fun bits in here, though, that we'll get to during this whole truck chase.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think everything from like here to the point where like they capture Joker is kind of like my favorite set piece of the whole movie in terms of like big action stuff.
It's the most exciting and thrilling stuff. Yeah, I agree.
Oh, yeah, I love this. The Joker's teamed up with like this fucking Texas Chainsaw looking dude who's the trucker.
Mm-hmm. Jim Markle.
You should meet my friend Bubba. He likes makeup too.
Mm-hmm. Turkeys on Thanksgiving.
You mean sold out and not in grocery stores?
And properly cooked. Sleepy afterwards, after we eat it, after we get out of there. We're going to be super sleepy. Highway to the danger zone.
What?
Who is the passenger, man? Is that Nicky Cat?
Yes, that is Nicky Cat.
Okay. Huh. Some reason this is the first time I've noticed that.
And that's the thing with Nolan movies. Like, he knows how to cast, like, there is no small part in a Chris Nolan movie.
Yeah.
He also has the great line in a minute with the rocket launcher, or the bazooka, as he calls it.
Yeah.
I just love this too. Like, Joker has such an unlimited artillery. He's just got like every fucking gun in this truck. What is that? Bazooka. That explosion.
Nobody calls it that. Nobody calls it bazooka anymore, except for Nicky Cat.
I mean, I don't know. I believe that a fucking dumb cop in Gotham would call it that.
I He probably called it something more racist, but I don't think that's. Hey, is that a bazooka? Just like those comics I used to read from the gum. Oh, that was so funny.
His name's
Gum
Joe, like
tasted-
my name.
Yeah, the gum tasted like shit, though. Oh! Why do they call him the Joker? Oh!
I think it also kind of works for him too that like Gordon's not saying a goddamn thing because this guy won't shut up. He's that self-obsessed.
But it's like the thing is about the twist. I knew kind of right away as soon as they showed this dude driving the SWAT van, not only with the mask pulled all the way up, but also giant SWAT goggles on while he's driving. Like, can we try to obscure his face anymore? Like, it's just.
I mean, I didn't see it the first time, but then again, a deep admission of my past, folks. I was 16 when this movie came out, so I thought this was the best thing that ever existed. This is just like,
dude,
no other movie has fucking been this good. And I still think this movie's great, but I was on the edge of being a stupid Nolan fanboy at that point.
Right, but the thing is, there are still a lot of people out there, which I don't decry anybody's, taste, but who are still like, this is the greatest fucking movie ever made. And, I mean, that's fine if you think that. That's cool. I respectfully disagree, but that's cool. I don't even think it's the best comic book movie ever made. I don't even think it's the best Batman movie made.
I think it's one of each of those. Not the, but it is, I would argue, within a top 5 of many of those things you said.
I would put in the top 5 of the Batman movies, maybe, but not the comic book movies. That's that salami sandwich from Boondock Saints. That guy's eating.
Right, a true classic Boondock Saints.
It still exists, Thomas. It still exists.
Yep, 8 years later, and it's not moldy at all.
Yep. Hey, Piccolo!
Where's the Italian? Right here, buddy. Hey, look at it.
Hey, you fucking guy. That's what I'm talking about. Air cav. Maybe they got a bazooka on there. This is sweet. This is fucking dope, though. This whole thing with this, like,
the bat cycle
car. Yeah, it's so fucking cool.
I think it's a really cool reinvention of, like, Batman's head playing motorcycles. I just love the fact that it's like an escape pod, basically, for his big tank truck.
Yeah. Well, that's what they called it. They called it the Bat Pod.
Yes.
Better hope there's no people in those cars, Bruce. Jesus.
Good point. Like those little children that were just there.
Yeah.
Though that's the stuff where you can also see the biggest influence on, like, apparently a big, like, influence for Nolan was the Richard Donner Superman movies, which you wouldn't think of based on these movies completely, because they're about
I can see
silly.
it, though.
But they're like
little moment and stuff.
There's a really great, I would recommend anybody who gets the Blu-ray set I got, there's a great, like, 30-minute talk between Nolan and Donner. That's
Holy
just
shit.
like the two of them talking together. It's a really, like,
it's like a billionaire talking to his plumber.
No, that's literally as I was watching, I just felt like this is like if a mechanic talked to a guy who designed, like, Porsches. Like, they're both technically part of the same industry,
right.
but they're very like on different galaxies.
It's like the guy who does the quick lube at the local place talking to fucking Elon Musk about Tesla.
Well, especially because there's a lot of, like, Nolan pontificating, and then fucking Donner's just like, yeah, oh yeah, shit, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, this is great too. This semi flip.
It's so awesome.
And the great little bit of he missed.
Yep.
Right before everything starts falling. Oh my god. I will say,
so fucking cool.
One of my favorite
practical.
Yes,
So
that's
badass.
the only stuff that they actually use CG for is just to edit the other cameras that are getting the various different angles of that shot. Just to get that shit out.
I love how fucked up he is. He just comes out just shooting the gun into the ground and shit.
Yeah, but and they just, the physical comedy here too of him going, wait, I'm up. He cracks his neck.
So good.
And once again, just like that, Nolan's whole thing after like a giant stunt like that happens, it all crescendos with just like a guy on a motorcycle almost hitting another guy on the street. But it's still like character focused, despite how like big and extravagant a blockbuster it is.
Again, though, how good is the Joker? And then he just played chicken with him.
It's just like, no, you fucked up. That was me. I was supposed to do that. It's supposed to be me. Give me a minute. Oh man, what? It's Gordon. Aren't you surprised, Joker? Well, yeah, for like a second. It's just like that. That's a cool reveal. But like, what was the point of it?
We succeeded. And then he rubs his mustache on Harvey's chin. Got it.
That's their code.
Thunder Buddies. Yeah, that's right. That's their code, so they know who each other is.
Anybody could fake that mustache.
But not that chin. No one could fake that chin.
It's great to all the different.
Actually, it was me the whole time. Have you heard about this? Have you seen this?
Oh no, Leno. Not you.
God damn it. I don't. Can't let anybody have anything.
The clown prince of crime, Jay Leno.
Yeah, what kind of car is that? Is that a Dusseldorf?
Yo, my favorite knife is my own chin.
Yeah, it's good. It cuts through butter. Kevin, take it away. There's nobody there.
Wow, the Joker really is insane.
He's lost his mind. He pictures Kevin Eubanks. Kevin Marsalis. I'm sorry, Kevin Marsalis.
I thought it was Kevin. Isn't it Kevin Eubanks?
Yeah, it is Kevin Eubanks. His first guy was Winston Marsalis. That's what it was. His first band leader was Winston Marsalis. Racist Adam. Didn't realize it.
Yep.
Oh, boy. Gotta go take a sensitivity course now.
Hey, so about me faking my death.
I did it because I love you. So, honey, you coming back with the sandwiches, or? Oh.
I mean, I guess it does actually explain why, like, his family would leave him shortly after this in Rises.
Yeah, fuck yeah, dude. Should probably wake him up, be like, "Hey, I'm alive." That way the kid, okay, good, because that way the kid doesn't think he's a ghost in the morning, eating cereal in a bathrobe.
Also, this kid is very casual about seeing his supposedly dead father.
Oh, sweet.
All right, Dad. I'm going back to bed.
Dad, I was having the Baywatch dream. Damn it! It's right there.
Commissioner.
Another good one of my favorite Joker bits is coming up too, and he asks the one cop how many friends he killed, and he says 6. The way he mouths 6
yes.
to him. Like,
that's a really great bit.
Oh.
I mean, it's hard to like really define a good bit versus a bad one with this performance anyway.
No, there is no bad one.
Right.
No. It's a performance. Hot take, everybody. Heath Ledger's Joker is really good.
What?
I know, man. I'm sorry. I'll die on that hill alone if I have to. I wish I had more Twitter followers, because I would post that on Twitter, be like, hot take, everybody. Heath Ledger's Joker is really good. Fuck y'all.
Get thousands of retweets. Just like, this man is insane. He's the true Joker.
Yep. Or Yo, he speaks the truth, everybody.
Well,
Yeah.
that might actually get you a lot of retweets. Sadly, not from people you want.
No, 1,000%. That's all it would be.
Or also,
Okay.
half of them would be people dunking on you like this fucking Reddit
Yeah,
dweeb.
right. Who's this fucking idiot?
I also love even the look of like his vest and his button down.
Oh, that's great.
Shout out to Lindy Hemming, is the costume designer on this movie, and she also has done a lot of designs for like Casino Royale. Like a lot of these sort of. Anytime you see a very good looking suit in a blockbuster, it's probably her doing the costume design.
Yeah, she does. She does all right. She's all right in my book. Hot take, Linda Hemming. Really good.
Whoa, they should nominate her for Oscars.
Could you imagine? You know, one of the big problems I'm having with this movie right now is every time I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go pee. The Joker shows up. Bitch.
That's how you know he's well placed.
Yeah, I guess.
I guess also that's what works about like the Bruce Wayne or the Christian Bale Batman performance is that he's so much more like screaming at this very casual psychopath. He's like, "What are you gonna do? Oh, calm down, bro. What are you doing? Come on, chill. Slow your roll." And that's the thing with like we've talked so much about like the cultural weird impact of this performance on like just the negative aspects of like internet culture and shit like that. But it's so strange that like every time I go back to it, like none of that ever lessens the power of like the performance in the actual movie.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's kind of like, unfortunately, speaking to another person who tragically died before the movie came out, like Brandon Lee in The Crow,
Yes.
where like
Yes.
even though both of those were the douchebag costume for like the next 10 years, like the moment you see
Oh,
somebody in that costume, like nope, that guy I want to hang out around. Like it's still like it's so lively and enigmatic and just like so good.
I find myself eating crow every time I sort of lampoon it. I lampoon things. That's what I consider myself.
I'm from the Harvard Lampoon, you know.
Mm-hmm. Rachel, you're going to Rachel. All right, here's my chance. Listeners, I'll be right back. Thomas, fill them in with what's going on.
Oh boy, like you're not watching this movie right now with us, but yes, we've gotten to the big scene where Harvey has been tied up, and so is Rachel in an adjacent warehouse somewhere else on the other side of the city. And I think this is the other scene I was referring to, where Maggie Gyllenhaal I think is pretty great in this particular bit, because you can tell this whole time she's playing it as like Rachel doesn't think she's actually going to be the one who's going to blow up, but she's trying to comfort Harvey. Oh, I believe we're coming up. This is, I think here or in a bit, is going to be Adam's bit that he talked about with the six. So I'm glad we mentioned it earlier. They liked it so much. Yep. Six. Yes. It's a great bit. And, this is another thing with like the guy with the bomb in his stomach is some of like on paper, I'm not sure how the logistics of it work, but when I'm really just wrapped up in this movie at this point, I really don't necessarily give a shit. I feel like it's just like it works perfectly for Joker's plan, and I just think like it's an ingenious kind of like setup and payoff thing. But yeah, I was telling them earlier, Adam, before you got back on here, I think Maggie Gyllenhaal's quite good in this sequence.
It's her best. I mean, yes, it's her best performance in the movie for sure, for sure. And it's the best sort of character beat just for Rachel Dawes. Period.
Right. It sounds like she's trying to comfort Harvey because she thinks he's going to
Mm-hmm.
get killed here. And then the realization moment where he sees Batman, which is coming up in a second.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, no, your moment passed.
Oh, did it? The sixth thing? Damn it.
Yes, that just happened. I pointed out to everybody. They were all aware.
Such a good part. This guy playing this other cop, I've seen him play. I think he's a Russian in real life.
Yeah, I know his first name is Raid, and his last name's a lot of
Yep.
consonants that I can't quite pronounce.
Yeah, it's like Saab, whatever,
Sad
something.
Sabergenic or something. Apologies.
Yeah, he does. He does a lot of voice work too.
Yes, I know
He did a lot, like for Transformers. He did some of the
Yes.
voice work.
Lots of video games and stuff as well.
Mm.
But he fits perfectly for like a smarmy cop, who would be the exact guy who would do this bullshit to Joker. Just like, oh, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. How do you feel about this whole thing with the bomb?
It's cool. Never bothered me. I thought it fits perfectly with sort of the not only the character the Joker they're portraying, but to the source material as well.
Mm-hmm. And once again, feels like the most like the edges of like the sort of realism they're going for into like the comic booky, because this would be a bit that
Mm-hmm.
would more likely happen in like on the page.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they did.
And also that even Joker survives that.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not realistic, but also counterpoint. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, no.
Because I'm wrapped up in the drama. I'm just like, Harvey, don't worry. I'm totally here for you. Even though you're going to die right now. I think you're great. I'd totally marry you. If you weren't about to blow up, you, yourself, Harvey, weren't about to blow up. And then this look just like, oh, wait, what? Wait, what? Ah. Like, especially, like, she gives like a sigh here, just like, oh, fuck me. Just okay. And the way they cut it off here. That explodes. That hurts so hard.
Oh yeah, she did.
Now she's gonna become Lady Two-Face.
Terrifying.
Just like your salvation is Joker with the keys.
Mm-hmm.
I know obviously this was not intentional because this was the same year as Iron Man, but it's so weird that they keep saying MCU in this movie.
I know. It's thrown me for a loop every time.
I locked him up at the
This is
MCU.
fucking amazing scene.
Yes.
Look at this.
This one shot. It's so stellar. Just like, oh, I'm basking in my freedom.
It's like a dog hanging out the window.
Yes. Here comes probably my favorite Batman shot in the movie during this elaborate montage. Yeah.
Right here? Yeah.
On the rubble.
Alfred Rena's mail. That's a federal offense, motherfucker.
I mean, it wasn't postage marked.
Still an invasion of privacy.
Right, something Batman would never do. Especially not in this movie within another 40 minutes.
Oh my god, is that how long we... Oh my god, we do still have 40 minutes to go.
No, I think we have more to go. Let me double check the timing. We have... Actually, no, we have more like 55 left.
Oh! Sweet.
But Adam, hasn't it flown by?
No. Not especially.
It's probably been longer because you're watching it with me just being like, now Adam, this is why this movie's great. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes. To answer your question.
I think it's a real testament to both these actors that like they're basically just delivering like an essay about why Batman's important as a character. But to me, it feels like it's perfectly natural within this universe where people pontificate a lot about what each other's motivations are. I do like also how they dole out the eventual reveal of the Two-Face face.
Yeah. And it is still... I mean, I haven't seen this in a while, but I remember it looking pretty good.
Well, we'll see in about, I don't know, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And also, they never advertised anything about Two-Face like actually being in the movie. You knew Harvey Dent was going to be there.
Yeah, so it was a good chance. Like, I always figured a pretty good chance.
It could be the flip of a coin. You get it? Because he's Two-Face.
Oh my god, you are so smart.
Clever, yes. Now, Harvey, I know you're hurting a lot, but I'm gonna say, man, having just half your face burned, I think is a win. Like, you should have been horribly burned everywhere. I think this is a net positive for you.
There it is.
Well, no, they doled out until like the very end. Like even
No,
when he...
It's my line.
Oh.
So bad. Shut up! Shut up! Like, why? Come on.
I don't know, after your face has been burned in half, I don't think he's gonna be one for subtlety.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
There we go.
Yeah, it looks all right. It's still not bad. I
No,
mean, you can tell, you could see the sort of CG seams to it and everything, if you want to call it that, but it still looks pretty good.
I mean for 2008, I could
This
point to a lot of worse ones.
Eric Roberts' face looks more CGI than that.
Yeah, I believe Industrial Light and Magic did his facelift.
His face hasn't held up at all.
That's why he does mostly voiceover as a talking cat now,
Yep.
or is behind
Talking
blinds.
cat?
I'm right here, sir. I'm the Italian.
Hey, Piccolo!
Oh, that's a lot of dough. I'm sure you're not gonna be burning that. No pizza oven. Hey, right,
Hey,
right.
make a
Oh,
pizza pie for you. Huh?
hey. Oh, Mamma Mia. He's gonna burn it.
You like the sauce on the pizza? Huh?
I think Anthony Michael Hall sort of just like settled into becoming like a decently attractive character actor. I don't know. If I were this guy, I probably wouldn't call this guy a freak anymore. After I saw him burn a
Yeah.
giant pile of money, we're just like, oh, you can't be bought. Okay. It's about sending a message. That's another great image. Just like giant burning fucking pile of money with him just making a phone call.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I mean Reese's look like, oh god. Oh no.
Jesus.
I do also like how these movies have that theme of like the escalation that comes with having a superhero involved.
Hmm.
Of just like, oh yeah, you're gonna have the superhero, but like other threats are gonna happen that like gradually get worse and worse. Like with Ra's al Ghul, it was like, oh, we're gonna like burn down like this part of Gotham basically, and this is gonna send the entire like moral compass of Gotham into chaos. And then by even Rises, you have just Bane, who's just like, I'm gonna blow up like the entire tri-state area.
Hmm.
Also, not to be somebody who hates on like the Marvel movies. I enjoy a lot of those Marvel movies quite a bit. But none of them have any of this like sense of like photography to them. Just like the look and
No.
feel of like
No, I
every
can
individual
I,
scene. Like this is an infinitely better made movie than most of the Marvel movies.
oh yeah, I definitely agree. 100%.
I don't think we'll ever get another superhero property with such a distinctive directorial stamp as we do with these movies.
I would not say never. I don't think you could say that. I mean, honestly, but
The
uh,
closest I've seen is maybe like James Gunn with the Guardians movies.
sure. But I mean, who knows what's coming? There's going to be some fantastic stuff coming.
But I doubt that
So
I doubt that Warner Brothers is going to give somebody like necessarily the go of just like, yeah, sure, do whatever you want, like they basically fucking did with Nolan in these movies.
yeah,
I don't think there'll necessarily be bad other movies. Like I'm curious about the Batman and some of the other things, but at the same time, I don't think any of them will have as much of like a personality that's this distinctive to them as much as like Nolan's have, and also just like that kind of directorial control.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess I can agree with that for sure.
I do also like this whole thing of just weaving in the fact that Joker and his gang have been taking advantage of all these people who have sick people in the hospital, like sick relatives and shit. Oh yeah, hi, yeah.
So good. Hi.
And I also love this angle of like so many stupid people online were just like, oh, Joker was actually secretly right if you really think about it. What I like is that they're portraying this entire thing as like, of course he'd be so convincing to those who have lost so much. Of course he'd be
Yeah,
perfectly convincing to like any of the you mentioned like the young kids who are like his henchmen basically, or just any of the other times where just like he's perfectly manipulating any of these
yeah,
like people who have totally lost so much around him.
yep. And that is why there's so many problematic things as far as with the fan base, especially for this character. It was like, oh, he's so awesome, and he was right the whole time, and blah 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 blah. No, dude, he's a murdering sociopath. That's the point of the character. He's supposed to be charming and stuff like that, like absolutely, but just
He preys on those who are weak, whether it be through
yes,
tragedy or through economic anxiety or any number of other things.
Twitter.
Well, that's true. If you're on
Yeah,
Twitter, you're weak. Oh, by the way, add not the who's telling me at atom underscore or underscore atom.
yeah.
What's interesting here also, I've never watched this movie muted, and it makes me appreciate all his physicality even more.
Yeah,
They don't even have
yeah,
like
I
the
agree with it.
voice. Also shows that even muted, we still just don't have a lot to say about this performance because shocker, it's great. So,
Yeah, it's pretty.
oh, this 7 out of 10 needs a bit of work. And I still remember even like the whole Oscar campaign going into like this year was one so much like, oh, will this be the one like superhero movie to get a Best Picture nomination, which didn't happen, though it also did
Right.
facilitate the whole like top like 10 Best Picture nominees the following year. But also,
Mm,
anytime anybody had a really solid like supporting performance, like oh Philip Seymour Hoffman in Doubt, really great, or this was the year also Robert Downey Jr. was nominated for Tropic Thunder, which would
yes.
never happen again. um,
You-
but like so anytime it's just like oh yeah that's a great supporting performance. It's like yeah but what's the point? It's gonna go to Heath Ledger no
Right.
matter what. And I think even if he had not passed, I think he would have easily like won an Oscar for this.
Love that he stopped to use sanitizer.
Yep, and he wore a mask That's the one.
Yep.
You know, he's Joker would survive COVID. And coming up with like the big exterior shot, this was a hospital that was going to be like torn down, so they actually
Yeah.
blow it up in this scene. And apparently the charges were supposed to go off like continuously, and you're supposed to like do the casual walk.
Hmm.
But then the
Yeah,
last
but
charge didn't work.
scene. Yeah, that's why you get the really good, funny scene.
Yes, just and this is perfectly just him improvising in the moment, just like oh shit. He gets into the bus. Oh my god! Even that helicopter shot.
Oh yeah.
So and it's also interesting just because like this had the most IMAX footage at this particular point in any movie. Because before this had just been like documentaries and shit that were all shot in IMAX. They were like 40 minutes long. And then after this, like, he was just like, you know what? I made you so much business off this movie. Fucking make more pallets so you can make longer IMAX movies. And that's why, like, The Dark Knight Rises has, like, I think 40 to, like, almost an hour's worth of IMAX footage in it.
Yeah.
Honestly, one of my favorite film experiences was seeing this at, in Tampa, there used to be a museum called Mosey. And they used to have an IMAX theater in there, but it was, like, a dome. So basically like you were staring up at like a giant like screen that covered like 75% of the room you were in. So the movie was like all around you.
That's pretty awesome.
It was really cool, yeah, seeing this and that. I saw this movie 4 times in theaters, including the 2 times I saw it like within one day.
That's pretty gnarly, bro. You know what 2 movies I've seen in theaters same day twice?
Well, you said
Spawn
Spawn, right?
and the first X-Men movie, baby. And that's it.
This might be a hot take. I think this is a better movie than Spawn, and I would even argue a better movie than the first X-Men movie.
It's a better movie than the first X-Men movie.
First X-Men does not hold up very well. No.
No, not at all. But I think X2 is a better sequel to the original material than this is to Batman Begins.
It's a bigger improvement, I would say, from a pretty mediocre movie to a great one. Yes, that's not the case with Batman Begins to Dark Knight. I remember this is the one clip they released of a Two-Face related scene before the movie came out, but they never showed any of these straight-on shots.
Right.
It was all just this guy. Would you have wanted Two-Face to continue into Rises as opposed to what we got? Do you think that would have been a better
Yeah.
choice?
Yes, I absolutely do. Not that I don't love Tom Hardy's Bane and stuff like that, because I really do. But yes, I think we should just save Two-Face for the next film.
I could see a world where that still works, especially if our replacements like Talia or any of the other villains from Rises.
Are you telling me that it's possible for people to listen in on your cell phones? Conspiracy.
There should be some sort of act about that, made by people who allege they're patriots. The Dent Act!
Yes, there you go. Okay, just look, man. You busted my balls. Okay. What the hell do you expect me to do?
I've seen some people accuse this of being like, oh, it's like pro doing this kind of probing. It's
I
almost
don't
just
think
like, oh,
that's.
no, I don't agree
I think
because,
it's last resort. Yeah.
right, it's last resort, and also even Morgan Freeman's just like, no, this is unethical. We can't do this.
But he's Batman.
Right, and more importantly, he's fucking insane.
Right.
Here it comes, folks. Yeah, that's what I edited out. I do like this also that Eric Roberts has like one moment where he shows weakness and he's just like, oh, Harvey, look at you. Look who's here. I think this might have been the first time I took notice of Eric Roberts in something
Oh wow.
when I was younger, yeah. I'm sure I've seen him in some other thing before this, but it's just like, oh my god, this guy's such like a great character actor. And then once again, he's in. If you don't know what we're talking about when we say a talking cat, guys,
God.
he
Look
did
it
a
up.
direct-to-video movie called The Talking Cat, in which a bunch of people hang out at the director's house, and then a cat shows up who can talk. And it's really a cat that walks around sometimes is like Garfield, and then sometimes actually opens its mouth, and it's like they put copy and paste like black square in front of
Yep.
the fucking cat's mouth. And Eric
And
Roberts
it's
is
Eric.
the voice
Yep. And it sounds like they recorded his lines through a cell phone.
in his bathroom.
Yep.
Like he was on the toilet recording all of those lines.
That's the life right there.
How do you feel about the stuff with the boats and the ferries and that
It
the whole
takes
final gambit?
so long. It takes so long. Like I think it's a cool idea. It's just. Oof.
I like the idea of like I think it taking that long works to like really build up that tension, and especially like if I was on either one of those ferries, I know I wouldn't be doing that immediately. I know I would also be having this giant discussion with everybody on this fucking ferry about like, do we actually fucking do
Like,
this?
yeah, for sure.
Because you're not convinced that especially the fucking civilians on the other side won't do it.
Oh, they want to bad.
Yeah. And honestly, also, it's not a moral quandary I would expect any fucking big superhero movie to ever really do again.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe not.
Also, shout out to the prop designers for like the not just these detonators, but all of Joker's props look so very
Hmm.
clearly homemade.
Hmm. Get enthusiasts.
Yeah, so this feels like a John Kramer gambit that actually like makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
I love that one fairy guy looks like he's fucking Bluto, like on the
I
civilian.
know. I love it.
It's like no one even knows how to cast like these smaller parts. Like this guy, perfect guy to be like a
Yeah.
Wall Street asshole. Just be like, well, they had their chance.
100%.
You know, the reason I honestly don't mind that Two Face doesn't continue into the next movie, I guess, is just because like I don't know really how you would use him after this particular point
Well,
in
I
this
guess the thing is,
universe.
yeah, yeah, I get what you're saying. I just don't think that, I don't know that Harvey Dent needed to become Two Face in this movie. I guess is the whole thing I'm thinking. Like,
I
I'd have been
mean,
fine with just Harvey Dent, like, and then maybe near the end get scarred up and fucked up.
but at the same time, I don't see like how this particular version of Two Face, even before the point where like he gets like scarred up, he's in the hospital and everything. I don't see how he could go on to be like, oh, I'm like a crime boss here, because like that's not really the Harvey Dent character I think they've established. I think the whole arc is really building up to the fact that he's just lost all of this, just everything, and now Gordon, the guy who's been like, yeah, I'm your like we're on the same, like we've been arguing with each other back and forth, but I trust you. Remember they had the chin thing with the mustache. They trust each other so much, Adam. And that it would eventually get to this point of just like he's not really like he's not the traditional Two Face like mob boss guy. He's a sad, desperate, disfigured man who's basically become like a Phantom of the Opera. So I think it only really end with like this kind of quick tragedy, as opposed to I don't want to see like Aaron Eckhardt become like fucking a mob boss in Gotham or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I get it. I get it. I don't like it, but I get it.
Also, this is I do love this element of like the hostages are dressed up as the henchmen.
Yes, me too. Very cool.
So they're a Joker like, oh, it's topsy turvy. But it's through just like simple things like this, as opposed to I don't know, he kicks a dumpster.
Right.
And this entire finale is Batman learning a lesson in optics. It's like, oof, I'm gonna
Yeah.
save all these guys who look like henchmen. I'm gonna hang SWAT teams off. And also I'm gonna beat up a bunch of dogs. Batman and dogs do not mix well in this movie.
Nah. Yeah, Batman don't like dogs.
I mean, we know that. He prefers cats.
Yep. Especially talking ones.
I know he might be tempted by a love triangle with Catwoman and Dogwoman.
Ooh.
I don't know, Adam. Maybe you're right. Maybe this isn't that great. Maybe we should get a Skybeam in here. I think we need a Skybeam.
Yeah. Maybe. That'd be pretty awesome, right? I haven't seen it a lot.
And maybe instead of it being like in this darkness that kind of like cl- just hangs over the entire movie, it should be like gray clouds.
Oh, I like that. And raining.
Right? And just make everything gray.
Yeah. Holy shit, dude. You missed your calling. You should be a cinematographer.
I mean, yeah. Fuck you, Wally Pfister, cinematographer of The Dark Knight.
He's listening right now. He's pissed.
Wally Pfister, who also directed the pilot of the most recent Tick revival.
Which is very good.
Yes. Shame they got canceled after 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Now I know what this looks like. But listen, there's a really complicated reason I did this.
Oh, God. The way that guy just snapped into whatever.
True. Nah, he's good. Batman wouldn't kill anybody. He'll just horribly scar them for life.
Yeah. Rupture his discs and stuff.
Oh, guy, I have chronic pain for life. You're welcome.
Just because you got to poop in a bag doesn't mean you can't be mean to me. I saved you. Fuck you, dogs. Fuck you. It's the same dogs, too.
Right, yeah, it's the Chechens. I mean, and the implication of what Joker said earlier, they're also dogs who have tasted human flesh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. R.I.P.
Yeah.
Mr. Lister.
Tiny Zeus Lister.
Who's also very good with just like the
Nice.
one line he has in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you don't even care that, oh, it's Debo or the president of Earth. Yep, and this motherfucker is just like, no, I'm gonna do it, guys. 11.
Just turn it off. For God's sakes.
I mean, you say that in the moment, but you've just been beaten with a lead pipe, and there's a bunch of fucking dogs that attacked you. Would you have the wherewithal to do that immediately?
If you're Batman, you should.
I don't know, it's a more human Batman. He's got these flaws, man. He's more man than Bat. Yeah, deep shit. Didn't even think of
Yeah.
it, did you?
I never really thought of him as part bat, but hey, whatever.
I guess the more bat one is Man Bat.
Yes.
His true polar opposite. Not a clown, just
Or
a
Drac.
bat who's man sized.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Go.
Or Dracula, which Batman has fought several times.
That's true, including in the animated movie, which was Peter Stormare voiced Dracula, I believe in.
Hmm.
Which was part of that weird show that happened between like Batman the Animated Series and I think
The
that
Batman.
no, and Brave and the Bold.
Yeah, there it is. There it
But it
is.
was the Batman, where it's like Joker was like a guy who was in a straitjacket and barefoot.
Yeah.
That was weird. I love how pissed off he is at this too. It's like, God fucking damn it. Oh shit. Set a payoff, baby. Chekhov's bat wrist razors?
Hmm. Yeah, whatever they are.
Now, even though
Yeah.
I'm sure, like, I know Nolan, I'm sure, planned some kind of third movie with Ledger that obviously never happened.
Sure.
But at the same
Sure.
time,
Sure.
I don't think you could ever, like, top an exit like this. Like, this whole last
Um.
scene is kind of like, I don't know how much more, like, this kind of just sums it up beautifully. The back and
Yeah,
forth between him
I
and, like,
agree.
a Joker.
I agree.
And also, he's delivering this entire thing upside down. He's literally
Uh-huh.
upside down. It's so great. I still remember getting like a chill down my spine when he said we're destined to do this forever. When I first saw
Mhm.
this.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Heath Ledger is acting circles around him right now.
But I also think Bale realizes, like, look, I'm not the centerpiece of this scene.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
I'll do my Batman squeals. Because I think you can see that, like, whenever he goes really over the top with the voice, it's a lot of him kind of putting up a defense mechanism. He's just like, no, Batman. Also, a lot of mouth breathing Batman from
Hmm.
Bale. A lot of just like, and just this final shot of him in the movie, just like hanging there.
Yep. That's it.
It's immortal. It just like it's this immortal look at just the final thing of like this particular character we'd ever get.
Now we get this.
But I still think this is a pretty good resolution, not even just for Dent, but also even Gordon. This is Gordon just looking straight at, like, this is what your inability to, like, control your police force caused. This is what happens. This is what ineffective, like, policing actually, like, has the effect of. somebody who you saw as just like, oh no, he could be like the perfect person to like help get Gotham out of its rut, is now like a monster man. Fucking look at it.
Yeah, man. I guess.
I guess I'll put it this way. I would vastly prefer if this just wasn't a trilogy. Like, the ending of this movie could hint at just like what would be a good third movie, which is Batman being hunted down while he's actually fighting crime. But given what we got with Rises, which is not a movie I hate, I think there's a lot of enjoyable stuff in Rises, but this ending I think even just works as just like a yep, that's just what Batman's destined to keep on going forever. Joker's gonna go after him. There might be other villains that show up, but this is just like this is the curse basically of being Batman. Is that he has to keep this charade going forever.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, I agree with you. A chair! Give me a chair!
It's about what's
Face hurts. My face hurts.
Also, my eyeball probably should have like chiseled up at this point.
I mean, seriously.
I have no eyelid.
Give me some Visine. Say it!
Maybe that's what's missing is the Visine. See, like that's what we see. Just constantly putting Visine in his fucking eye.
Constant. He's got a saline drip going into his eye.
I think that's also why Two-Face has to kind of end here because it's Batman just realizing like if Gordon keeps if Two-Face keeps on going around, everyone's gonna realize what Dent was, and it's gonna make things just even shittier. I mean, I think you can at least admit this is better than say like Tommy Lee Jones and Batman Forever.
Well, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's any. I mean, nobody argues that.
I don't know. There's a lot of defenders rising up for those Joel Schumacher movies.
God, well, I mean, they need to get a hobby.
They do. It's defending those movies.
It's a bad hobby.
I don't know. I'd still say those aren't even the worst Batman movies. Even Batman and Robin. It's not good.
You're a fucking mind. What do you think is worse than Batman and Robin?
Batman v Superman easily.
Oh, I'll watch Batman v Superman over Batman and Robin any day.
The original cut of Justice League easily. Suicide Squad easily.
I'll watch any of those over Batman vs Robin, or Batman and Robin.
I don't know.
Not that they're good movies, but Batman and Robin is just unwatchable trash.
I think those other movies are more aggressively ugly and dumb and longer, more importantly, than Batman and Robin. Batman and Robin's like a cool 95 minutes.
Yeah, you got that going for you. Well, so is the original cut of Justice League.
No, that's like 2 hours long.
You're like 2 hours long.
No, we're 2.5 hours long now, buddy. That's how long we've been going here. Oh, yeah. How do you feel about this ending?
I mean, I get it. I get it. I doesn't. I don't know, man. It doesn't. It never packed the punch that I think they were going for, at least for me. It's just I don't know, man. I feel like there's a lot of messy shit in this movie. And I mean, I don't know. it doesn't. I definitely want to like this movie. I really do. And there are parts about it that are really great. I mean, obviously Heath Ledger's Joker, the cinematography, the score. There's a lot of cool shit in this movie, but it's just so bloated. And it just doesn't. Nah, no.
Yeah, if you had asked me like, "Hey, Tom, what's your favorite sort of like moment in a movie?" I would probably say this ending at that time. I wouldn't say that now. But I remember just being so enraptured with the idea of this ending that like totally shows that like being Batman's a fucking cursed object. Like this isn't fun. This isn't a great thing to be. Like this is just like this albatross that Bruce Wayne has to carry on him this entire time. Especially now that it's just like I need to keep up the appearance and the legend that a Dent is actually somebody good. I think it feeds perfectly into like a lot of the legend making stuff that like Batman is so based around. That it's just like I have to keep this lie alive. It's like the such a great example of, I think, of how to like show that like being Batman is so much more of a burden to this guy's personal life than it ever is anything like noble or great. It's just like he has to be this thing that anybody can say he's a menace. He's actually doing the right thing, and that just has to exist in Gotham City to him.
Right.
If anything, it's like I said, I think Rises fucks a lot of that up, which is like, oh man, the implications of like he's gonna keep running forever, he's gonna keep fighting crime, but no matter what, even if people try and hunt him down, he's still gonna be great. It's like, nah, I'm gonna chill for like 8 years.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Especially the way fucking Oldman delivers this last speech. And the way the
Yeah, it's
music
pretty.
is swelling at this, it's so fucking great. But at the same time, any sort of big like Nolanite Batman fans, I can still enjoy like some Adam West bullshit. It doesn't all have to be
Oh yeah.
this. This is
Oh
I
yeah,
still think this
definitely.
is great, but I can also enjoy like that Batman is any different amount of flavors. I just think this is the rhubarb.
Mm-hmm.
Watchful Protector, A Dark Knight. And there we go, ladies and
All
gentlemen.
right.
So, Adam, has the
Yeah.
movie improved at all for you after having this experience?
No.
Well, this was
I
a
mean,
wasted effort.
no, I enjoy talking about it with you, and I enjoy joking about it and stuff like that. And Heath Ledger's performance. It's funny because I haven't watched this movie, and I honestly couldn't tell you how long, and just how great that performance still is. And even with all the sort of the pop culture bullshit around it and everything, it still holds up. It's still amazing. Um, it's just, I think it's just a bloated. It's just, I just feel it's bloated, man. There's too much that doesn't work for me. Um, it's it looks the shit. It's pretty well acted. Aaron Eckhart's terrible. Rachel Dawes is a throwaway character. It's just I don't know. I don't think I'll ever turn on this one. I really don't.
But turn as to say, like, what would say be your rating out of 5 stars, like we do on the Edge of Relevance?
Oh, probably a two.
Hmm.
I'd probably put it at a two, to be honest. Maybe a 2.5, and that's to say mediocre at average. Um, so 2.5 for me. What about you?
4.5, baby.
Really?
My only real issue is the Gordon stuff and some other Rachel stuff I also have issues with. But to be fair, if you would ask me once again, that 16 just be like 5 out of 5 best movie ever made. So it's gone down a bit for me in certain ways, but I don't know. I still think like every time I watch an MCU movie or like a modern superhero movie, it makes me respect this one a bit more. Like any of the problems I might think of, like I never think of any of like these issues that we're really having while I'm especially watching the movie, and even at like this 2.5 hour length, I don't ever feel a lag. This movie like breezes by for me every single time I watch it. I just am. Oh, by the way, Conway Wicklife was actually a stuntman who passed away in the middle of filming, in the middle of a stunt. He passed away.
Oh. I mean, honestly, R.I.P. that guy.
Yes, R.I.P. that guy, and obviously Mr. Ledger, of course. But anyway, I still really do. I still really do love this movie. I get all like some of the cultural backlash and all this other stuff, but it's like I said, whenever I go back to this movie, I still am just so like enthralled that especially a big superhero movie can still be this way, as opposed to what we get now is still I think more good than we get a lot of good ones still, but at the same time I don't feel like even like Nolan couldn't really go back to it again after it rises. This feels like it's sort of like an object of a movie you can't really touch again. It feels like it's just like this could only possibly happen in 2008. Like it was like once again it shows like why that was such a big movie year for me. Is that it's just like there is no way you would ever get something like this, especially that would be this massively successful and make like $1.08 billion at the time.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, I mean, exactly at the time. Now it's kind of like, at least pre-COVID, if you were a comic book movie, especially an MCU movie, you were making $1 billion.
But that's the thing, you have to be like an Avengers movie or something like that's that big and spectacle. This is like I said, it's a Michael Mann style like crime drama with Batman in there. If someone did that like again with like I don't know, fucking the Flash or whatever, and it was like this ground, like I don't think it would be nearly as successful. It'd just be like, where's the big special effects stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably accurate. I don't know, man. I mean, you can miss me with this bullshit sometimes.
Well, and that's the thing. We can agree to disagree on the internet, everybody. That's this weird magical thing you can do, where we can have these varied opinions on this particular movie and still be friends that record multiple podcast recordings on a weekly basis.
Yep, pretty much. In fact, 2 days from now.
Yeah, just a time snippet. We're going to record our Bond episode 2 days from now, which will be very interesting. But Adam, we should probably tease next month is October.
Yeah.
We love talking about horror stuff. And we're going to be doing a bunch of horror-themed episodes on the show. But for the Patreon, in the order that we're doing, next would be a top 10 list.
Yes.
So, Adam, what are we doing for a top 10 list in the spookiest month of the year?
We are doing our personal favorite top 10 horror movie kills.
Up. The language, sir. Slightly different.
What?
Horror movie deaths.
Deaths. Horror movie deaths.
That's right.
He's right. Yeah, fucking there you go again. Make me a better person. Yes, top 10 personal favorite horror movie deaths.
Yes, so
I already started making a list, and I was well over 150. So it's going to be a hard one.
I've started like the long list, and it's definitely pretty long at this point. But now we're just in that crunch time of like, oh, we gotta like narrow it down. We gotta whittle down to our top 10 essentials for that, which will be very interesting. I'm sure it'll be a lot of like our character actors episode we did last time. We're just like, oh god, it's so agonizing.
I know. Yeah, that's gonna be a rough one.
Yes. So that'll be next time. Though keep in mind also we'll be doing a lot of on the edge irrelevances in October in particular, because we're gonna be doing No Time to Die. Will hopefully be the next one as of when we're recording. That's still coming out October 8th. So that would be the next one. If not that, then Halloween Kills, which is also featuring Mr. Anthony Michael Hall, interestingly enough. And you mentioned Dune, and
yes,
that'll be a very, very long episode of On the Edge of Relevance. That would be the rare episode that's longer than an average episode of the show.
Yep. And I know we played around with talking about it. We might do a spooky double On the Edge of Relevance with the new Paranormal Activity film.
And
I don't remember.
Well, last night at Soho, which will be in theaters that
Oh yeah,
same weekend.
Jesus.
Yes.
Yeah, last night. So good God. Yeah.
We
So
yeah. So
a lot of On the Edge of Relevance coming up.
yes, for sure. There'll be a lot of stuff for us to cover here. And before we get out of here, one thank you, patrons. We really appreciate the one, even if it's just the $1 a month that you guys give us. It really helps out, keeps the lights on. It does so much you have no idea. We're very appreciative of every cent you send us. Very much so. And we hope that us giving back with those On the Edge relevances or this commentary and this other stuff is your dollars well spent.
Yeah, I really hope that everybody who donates really feels like they get their bucks worth. Like I really, really do. And like Thomas said, we can't thank you enough. It sort of reaffirms that we have been doing something for over 3 years now that even if it is only a handful of people, that is something people enjoy. So I really appreciate it.
And if you also like it, maybe encourage some of your friends. You know, just $1.
Yeah.
Get a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we can do a pyramid scheme type thing if you guys want.
Oh no,
Figure it out.
We don't want that. We're not Madoffs here. We're not doing that. All right. Well, Adam, we've been recording quite a long time, so I guess it's time that we ended this commentary, and we went out into the distance because we are watchful protectors. We are dark knights.
Jaws 3.
No. Oh no, the shark! It's followed us here to Gotham City.
What the fuck?